Well, we're back.
Tonight, we will be reviewing The Horror Show at Extreme Rules. And let me tell you right now, that sure was horrific.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, welcome back to the channel, everybody. I obviously have Tomas with me, but boy, howdy, are we depressed.
And not for the regular reasons either.
Yeah, so just to preface this before we get started with the review, Extreme Rules this year, if COVID-19 had not struck our planet, Extreme Rules would have taken place in my neck of the woods in San Jose. And boy, howdy, did we bite the bullet, or did we dodge a bullet, rather, on this one.
Definitely dodged a bullet there. And you know what? This could have been a precursor because apparently the last pay-per-view that was in San Jose, you were not a fan of. Or, well, not the last pay-per-view. Actually, a pay-per-view from a couple years ago.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, just to preface this point. So, the last pay-per-view in San Jose was actually TLC.
Yes.
Which was a great show. The last show, the one he's referring to, was I actually made the drive up to his neck of the woods in Sacramento, Hell in a Cell, which had Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt in the main event in the greatest Hell in a Cell match of all time.
And you seem to have a history with bad main events because you also were in the building, for the House of Horrors match between Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton.
I was, yep. And the crowd in San Jose did not like it one bit. My buddy Alex, shout out to him, did not like it one bit either. But, oh, yeah, I'm already depressed. And we're
going to talk about some stuff with this show.
Yeah, so be prepared for some rants. Here's the thing, though. I'm excited about this review, but I'm not. I don't want to shit on this too much, but, like,
let's just say we got some good stuff to talk about and we got some bad stuff to talk about.
Yes, starting off with the Kickoff show, actually. Good segue, my friend. Kevin Owens versus Buddy Murphy in the Kickoff show. No stipulation, but basically my first problem with this match is this was more about Seth Rollins versus Rey Mysterio, which we'll get to in a little bit. But these two are both very good workers. What did you think?
It was a fun little match. I couldn't help but tell. I felt like they were holding back a little. You look at other matches like Murphy and Aleister Black. You look at other matches like, hell, even Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins from WrestleMania. I couldn't help but tell, but both guys felt like they were holding back. I don't know if it's because they were on the Kickoff show. I don't know if it's because they only had so much to work with in such an allotted period of time. But yeah. I did like this match, and I did like what they brought to it. But there was just something about it that just made me feel like, you give these guys 20 minutes, and they could have gone a lot harder with this match.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It was definitely a very physical match. I think they did a really good job with the time that they were given. Kevin Owens hits a really vicious DDT at one point, and I wrote down great sell by Murphy.
Oh, yeah, that was a really good spike DDT. Yeah. I really liked the opening with Kevin Owens trying to hit the KO stunner right away. Murphy with his quick strikes, all around just a good pace to start off this match, especially with these two.
Definitely.
I'm going to shout this out right now. I really like the plexiglass in the Performance Center.
Oh, I love it.
I know for a fact that when we do get crowds back, that's not going anywhere anytime soon. And I really like that it helps with kind of like just involvement of the wrestlers around the ring banging the glass. I like how the wrestlers are able to throw each other into the glass. I think the plexiglass adds a lot to
what definitely. I agree. It definitely they're using that to their advantage. It's there for obvious reasons. And once we get the crowds back in the arenas, that plexiglass isn't going away. So I'm like, you know what? They're just like, why don't we just go ahead and use it? I mean, it's there. So there were a lot of vicious sequences with that hockey wall, as I love to call it.
Oh, yeah. Also loving the atomic drop into the vicious clothesline by Owens. Murphy countering the senton, which is always cool. Kevin Owens is cannonball, which is great, and great Meteora by Murphy, which I think is Michael Cole's favorite move in the world because it's the only move he knows.
Well, admittedly, like, there is a spot where I'll mention later, Michael Cole had a really, really great call, which is very rare these days. Let me just say that.
I only say that because watching SmackDown, I've noticed whenever Sasha Banks hits a Meteora, Michael Cole is like beside himself. Meteora! Meteora! It's like, oh, it's the only move he knows. So, of course, he's going to get excited when he gets the opportunity to call it.
It's better than the it's boss time call. But anyway.
I'm convinced that Michael Cole was drafted to SmackDown just so he could say it's boss time. for Sasha Banks.
God, I hope that wasn't the reason. That's gonna haunt her, I think. But
And
anyway,
same thing. Roman Reigns, Sasha Banks, and Michael Cole are a package deal. They have to be on the same
here
show.
comes the big dog.
Big dog.
Oh
We are
man,
getting
Michael
off
Cole.
topic real quick.
Yeah, I have so much respect for the guy, but man, like those are my viewers who watched our Royal Rumble 2002 review, which came out a couple weeks ago. Like, I praise Michael Cole for his work earlier in his career, but somehow he's gotten progressively worse. I don't know. I mean, I don't even think he's calling this match, so I'm not going to get into that. But
I think it was Murphy who he kicked Owens. The commentator said in the lower leg, but I swear that was a shot right to the groin, and it was pretty vicious.
Oh yeah. Buddy Murphy is so good. He's so underrated. Like, I mean, I think he's in a great spot with Seth Rollins right now, and that'll set him up further down the line.
He's Monday Night Raw's best kept secret for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he just has not gotten that big win on the show yet since he was Cruiserweight champion, I believe.
Also, great moonsault by Kevin Owens, but he almost botched it. But I'm glad he was able to catch himself before he did.
Oh, that was sick, though. I popped for it. I wrote clean AF, but, I mean, now that I think about it, it really wasn't because Kevin Owens kind of hesitated.
It was a clean save. Save.
Definitely a clean save. I love Kevin Owens to death. But,
I feel like the ending was a little underwhelming. I feel like just Owens hit the KO stunner out of nowhere. KO wins the match. Mm-hmm. I gave it 2.5, and I think that's being a little generous because it was a solid match for what it was. I just felt like they were holding back. It could have went a little longer. And it just felt like they weren't putting their hearts into it. But the 2.5 stars is basically for the fact that Owens and Murphy are just such good workers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you think you're being generous, I gave this match 3 stars, actually.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, like, I really feel like these two had really good chemistry, and they really did a hell of a job with the time they were given. But my biggest problem with this match, my biggest issue isn't necessarily like the lack of cleanliness on some moves. It was more so that it was about Seth Rollins versus Rey Mysterio. And I really did not think it should have been. I feel like they could have told us.
Do you remember back in the day, like around 2002, 2003 era, when you would get the pre-show match for the pay-per-view for free on Sunday Night Heat?
Yeah.
And it would be a good match, but they spent most of the commentary time talking about the main card. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, but in this case, they're only talking about one match because these guys were involved directly in that rivalry. But
let's say Tajiri and Billy Kidman are having an amazing cruiserweight title match. The commentators there don't care. They're too busy talking about Triple H versus The Undertaker or Brock Lesnar versus The Rock or whatever the marquee match is for the pay-per-view that night. It just felt a lot like that. It's like, oh, hey, Owens is involved with Mysterio. Murphy is obviously the disciple to Rollins. Hey, did you know that Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio are going to have a match later tonight? And if you're watching this, you obviously are going to see it because you're subscribed to the network. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, we're all subscribed to the network, I think, at this point. But
fun fact, and this is going to give Kevin Owens a lot of good guy points. Apparently, according to Dirt Sheets, Kevin Owens was going to go home. Vince McMahon asked him, "What can I do to make you stay?" Kevin Owens said, "Everyone around the ring needs to start wearing masks." Vince said, "Done."
Kevin Owens is the man. I love him. He's like one of my favorite baby faces on the roster right now. And
good guy Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens gets good guy points.
I haven't read that story anywhere, but I totally believe it. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn isn't on the show for that reason. So, and I mean, more power to him. But Kevin Owens is like, if I'm gonna stay, everybody needs to wear a mask, and I'm glad Vince obliged.
And I'm sure a lot of the wrestlers appreciated Owens for being the guy to stand up and say something like that.
Totally. So during the kickoff show, we also get some plugs for a couple of matches that are coming up this week on TV. The unsanctioned match between The Big Show versus Randy Orton, which is taking place tomorrow night as of filming on Raw, and the bar fight between Jeff Hardy and Sheamus, which is taking place on SmackDown.
Gee, 2 gimmick matches that aren't going to be on the gimmick pay-per-view? What was WWE thinking?
Yeah, not that this will play into something we'll talk about later, but the pay-per-view begins WWE Extreme Rules 2020.
A horror show at Extreme Rules.
I refuse to call it that. Just because it's a ridiculous
But it was
name.
definitely horrific enough.
Yeah, I'm just going to call it Extreme Rules just to save myself some time. But yeah, it took place at the Performance Center, of course. Pretty cool hype package to start off. The opening matches for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. It's a tables match. The New Day defending against Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura. And the rule is it's only one opponent going through a table to win the match. So it's not elimination, as I'm used to.
No. Traditional table match here. Don't want to get into too many topics like this, but I think this is a topic that everyone would appreciate us bringing up. I have not been watching SmackDown for a few weeks, but this is the first time I've seen the New Day in a while. Amazing wristbands. They are wearing their wristbands of victims, black victims. Here I am getting choked up just trying to spit out the words. Victims of police brutality. I do not know why I can't get that out right now. We saw the banana. We saw other names on the wrist. So my first note on here is New Day rocks, BLM rocks. Keep fighting the good fight, everybody. And
absolutely.
Thank you for the representation.
Stay safe. Black Lives Matter, baby. Absolutely. New Day comes out. Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura. I believe this is like either the fourth or fifth different tag partner that Cesaro has had like the past few years.
That is something I definitely noticed. The first thing I said was somebody called Sheamus, asked him if he's okay. His buddy found a new buddy.
Oh. I mean, if you remember though, this was meant to be Sami Zayn's stable, but he's not on TV right now, and he's choosing.
Yeah, so it's like Cesaro Nakamura. We don't want to do anything with you. Tag team.
Yeah, tag team, absolutely. There you go. But
foreign guys never win.
This was actually a pretty fun match. Really, really good opener.
I think the most fun part about tables matches and tag team table matches, to be a little more specific, is that it's always about the teams playing defense of trying to not get driven through a table. There's definitely a lot of spots in here where someone's trying to get driven through a table, but the other teams are playing good defense right there. Cesaro driving steel steps into Biggie is one of the big points. Biggie's diving spear. I want to talk about this for a minute because I remember at the beginning of Big E's career, I would hold my breath and cringe every time Biggie threw that spear because I swear this man was going to break his neck. Now, fast forward 5-6 years later, that is one of the most cleanest moves I see in WWE right now, and Big E pulls it off the best.
Oh, you know what? I still don't think that move is very safe, all things considered. But you know what? If Big E can do it, and he can do it as clean as he can, I mean, more power to him. But obviously, I'm of the mind of safety first, and I still don't think that's a super safe move. But in any regard, poor Shinsuke Nakamura was rammed into the hockey wall pretty early, and it looks like it hurt.
Oh, yeah. That's what I love about these plexiglass spots. You can do some nasty stuff in there. Not to get too off topic, but the first thing I think of is the Keith Lee-Johnny Gargano match from the In Your House, how Keith Lee launched Gargano through that thing, and I am just waiting for WWE to do a spot like that.
Yeah, new NXT champion Keith Lee, by the way. So, like you mentioned, there were a lot of really, like, crisp spots with, like, table defense, and that's a big thing in a lot of these tag team table matches that I've been watching over the years. A lot of those spots, but I found in this match a lot of those spots to be a lot more creative, I guess. I'm going to
say right now my favorite spot was Kofi Kingston was going to get launched by Big E and do a dive onto Cesaro and Nakamura. Big E launches Kingston, and Kingston goes smack face first into that table. That was a cringy spot right there, but it was beautifully done. Kingston got so much height, and he made that shit look good.
He sold that so well. I love Kofi Kingston so much. It's like he made that spot look so awesome. And
he did. And thanks, commentary team, for finally mentioning that Kofi Kingston's a former WWE champion. It only took you a year to do that.
I'm already depressed enough as it is. But
okay, I'm going to be feisty for this review.
Hey, I don't blame you, man. Yeah, side note, by the way, just a reminder, we were supposed to be in the arena live for this, but
oh man, can you imagine?
So let's see. So we get Kofi hits a trust fall on Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, you want to talk about a spot that I hate? This spot makes absolutely no sense. Like, Kofi Kingston is trusting his opponent to catch him when he jumps off the ropes, and that's supposed to be an offensive maneuver.
Huh. You make a good point pointing that out. I really like that move because Kingston makes it look really good as he does every single move. I think that move is better when you do it on, like, the pool of superstars. You got 4, 5, 6 guys out there. But when you're doing onto one, I don't know why Nakamura just goes, I can just step to the right. And
Right,
Kingston
yeah.
will totally
And you have
eat shit.
sorry to like get off topic again, but like when you have NXT Great American Bash and you have Robert Stone like do a diving attack on Rhea Ripley and she just moves out of the way, like Shin could have just done the exact same thing. You know,
Also,
like,
side note, during the pre-show, I got really scared that they dropped Nakamura's last name because they said Shinsuke and Cesaro on the match graphic. And I was like, oh, no. You do not take away Nakamura's last name. I'm so glad I was wrong there.
yeah. There was
But,
a
no, you are right. Nakamura could have stepped away out of that move. I think that move works better when it's a pool of superstars. But that particular trust fall looked really good, and I think Nakamura sold it really well too. I just heard the smack, and whenever you hear the smack, you get scared.
You cringe. Yeah, there was a nice belly to belly in the ring by Big E. The New Day goes for more tables, and this is the great call by Michael Cole I was talking about. How many tables do these guys need?
I love that call too, because you think about it, in tables matches and ladder matches, how many tables and ladders do they need? You only need one.
It's a really great point. But like this match was still a lot of fun. I wasn't like really too bothered by this, but it's one of the good calls that Michael Cole has had recently. It's a great observation, my friend. But there was a really, really clean double team from the challengers. Cesaro has Big E in the giant swing, and he makes a couple of rotations. Shane hits a Kinshasa on Big E as he's
that was a good spot, very reminiscent of Tyson Kidd and Cesaro when they would do the same thing. I would appreciate Cesaro getting a few more rotations there in the Cesaro swing before hitting the Kinshasa, but hey, spoiler alert, Nakamura and Cesaro are going to have plenty of more opportunities to work together because they are your new SmackDown Tag Team Champions.
They are. The finish came around. It was actually a really, really clean finish. Kofi Kingston runs wild for a little bit. He tries a Hurricane Rana on Cesaro off the top through a stack of double tables on the outside, which I forgot to mention. There was a stack of double tables there. Cesaro catches him in mid-Rana. Shinsegae hits a kick right to Kofi's gut. Cesaro with brute strength power bombs Kofi through the table stack, which I think was a really, really neat spot. We've got new SmackDown Tag Team Champions, and I was honestly really surprised by that finish. I was really happy to see it.
I don't know why I had New Day picked for this, but I feel like New Day are always going to be your tag team champions when WWE doesn't know who to put the SmackDown Tag Team titles on next. And I feel like after Miz and Morrison's run was done, this was more of a, okay, we know we can put these titles on Nakamura and Cesaro. I know SmackDown's tag team division is in a really weird spot right now because we have the Forgotten Sons who have a member who we're not going to mention here. Everyone doesn't like him. And we have Heavy Machinery who are a tag team but aren't in a tag team at the same time because one of their members is holding the Money in the Bank briefcase and they decided to forget about that team. So SmackDown went from having a really good tag team division to having a we got no one, here's the New Day for the ninth time.
They had FTR also at the time of the drafts too.
For a minute, but
for a
FTR
minute,
tearing it up right now with the Lucha Bros in AEW. I'm not here to pick companies right now. We got some good wrestling right now, whether it be WWE, whether it be AEW, as long as we're getting some good entertainment right now, that's all that matters to me.
Yeah, absolutely. But as far as the match, the opener here, I thought it was a really great opener. I gave it 3.5 stars out of 5. Very, very fun. I'd be lying if I didn't say I didn't pop for that finish. I'm very, very happy to see Cesaro and Shinsuke win the titles. I love the work. I love the psychology. I love the false finishes. I just wish it was an elimination match because I feel like
I will say right now, I ranked it a little lower. I gave it 2 3/4 stars, not because it was a bad match. There was just some more elements I wish it had been a little more fast paced considering who we had in the match. And I wish it was a little longer. And the finish just kind of came out of nowhere for me. I just wish there was a little more. And especially, which we'll get into, if WWE had to remove a match from the show, they could have either replaced it with another match or they could have given time to some of these other matches. And I think this match could have benefited from like 4 or 5 more minutes.
Totally. Yeah, I agree with you there. Congratulations to the new champions, nevertheless. Fun opener. Keeping on the SmackDown side, the next matchup is a normal match, no stipulation. Bayley defending the SmackDown Women's title against Nikki Cross, I wrote down that Nikki Cross got those opening night jitters when she came out.
Yeah. She was getting some encouragement from her tag team partner, Alexa Bliss, from the Kabuki Warriors. I will say right now, I didn't take many notes on this match because I was kind of distracted dealing with some other stuff during this match. But I will say that Nikki Cross herself has improved immensely as a singles performer. She had some really good spots in here. I think her and Bayley clicked very well in this match.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think Nikki Cross just did, for not even really, she's been kind of piggybacking with Alexa Bliss for a while, and they've been doing well. But I feel like this is the first time we got to see Nikki Cross perform on her own, and I think she did very well in this match.
I agree. Nikki Cross had a couple of really, really nice-looking neck breakers on Bayley. There was one where Bayley was like kind of bridged on the apron, and Nikki Cross hits like a swinging neck breaker. Bayley takes a sick bump on the outside.
Oh yeah, and I think Cross definitely gave Bayley a run for her money because there were some spots in this match, which booking-wise, I know it won't make any sense, but I was rooting for Cross, and I hope one day they do put the SmackDown Women's title on her. Spoiler alert, because she had. In today's day and age, when we do not have a large enough roster as much as we would like to, I do think this is the opportunity to start giving people opportunities that usually wouldn't. Take Apollo Crews, for example. Today's day and age, if we would have a full-blown roster in front of a live crowd, I do not think he'd be the United States champion right now, which is a shame, but sometimes you got to make chicken salad out of chicken shit.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, but this match, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, Nikki Cross, I feel like they did a good job, like, convincing, like, the audience and yourself. But I think they did a good job trying to convince us that Nikki Cross could have won this match. I just did not. Yeah. I just did not buy it for a second, just based off of the build.
No, based off the build, based off of considering they care more about what Banks and Bayley are doing on Raw than they're doing on SmackDown. And I think they realize, oh, shoot, Bayley hasn't defended her SmackDown Women's title in a while.
Yeah.
Let's throw an opponent at her just to keep her busy for a little bit. Even though we don't want to do that. We want her and Sasha Banks to stink it up on Raw right now for reasons. And
yeah. Which is a big point I'll get into in a rant later.
And cutting them a little bit of slack considering the circumstances right now. But if this was a regular show in front of a regular crowd, I would be losing my mind right now. The fact that Banks and Bayley are on both shows, and it's kind of bugging me at this point, not gonna lie. It's starting to wear on my nerves a little. It's
wild card rule
of the WC. We're calling it the WC because I refuse to say it now.
The wild card rule is what we're talking about. Tomas hates it.
If there is one phrase I hate more than the virus, it's the WC rule. And we're not going to talk about the WC rule. Let's just say there was a certain tag team on the NWA that every time I heard their team name, I kind of just like, no, I'm watching a different wrestling promotion. But I digress. I think, man, you may need to title this Extreme Rules Rant instead of Extreme Rules Review because I am just feisty and all over the place.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. I feel like, you know, like, with how the show was and, like, I don't know. But Nikki Cross, I mean, there was a nice spot where Bayley, like, puts the apron on her and she's trapped in between the apron and, like, the ring skirt there, like, a la Fit Finlay.
Yes.
She's jaw-jacking with Michael Cole at ringside, which is awesome. She turns around. Nikki Cross is not there because she has crawled all the way underneath the ring, and she has put herself, again, in between the ring skirt and the apron. Bayley tries a baseball slide. Nikki catches her in the ring skirt. I thought that was.
I also really appreciate the shot they got of Cross's face as she appeared from under the ring apron. I thought that was great.
The horror show.
I'm going to say this now. Come hell or high water, whatever we're doing for WrestleMania, I want Bayley and Sasha Banks versus Michael Cole and Corey Graves, and it's going to steal the show, regardless of anything. That is a rivalry a year in the making.
For the women's tag team titles?
100%.
Oh, man. Yeah, I hope that's not the match for WrestleMania, but...
I gave this match 2.25 stars. I thought it was a very good showing by Cross. We also didn't bring up the finish. I'm sorry. I cut you off there. Give us
it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, so the finisher... So Sasha basically is standing at ringside, and side note, I don't know if any of my viewers caught this, but Sasha was sitting at ringside, and she is wearing the SmackDown Women's title around her waist. And I'm just like, can we just get to that point with the Sasha and Bayley rivalry? Because she is the only person on SmackDown that I honestly think has a legitimate chance of ending Bayley's reign right now. But
because WWE won't book any other women as strongly as they do Bayley, Banks, Charlotte Flair, Nia Jax for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Asuka, which I think out of all those people, if you're going to give someone the rub, it should be Asuka. But you got women like Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss and Natalia and Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott and the Iconics all sitting on their asses on Raw and SmackDown doing nothing because Vince doesn't want to. Shayna Baszler, they are all sitting on these great women because they only want to focus on. It's the Bayley and Banks show, everybody.
Yeah.
Look at Bayley and Banks. Look at them. They want them to have all 4 titles. I digress.
They don't want Charlotte. They don't have Charlotte right now.
I should save these angry comments for when we get to that following match. But
yeah,
again, I also feel like the match was too predictable because we know where WWE is going with Bayley and Sasha Banks. And that does not include her randomly dropping the SmackDown Women's title to Nikki Cross.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And this is absolutely no disrespect to Nikki Cross, who I absolutely love. I did not buy that she was winning this match at all. I gave this match 2.5 stars, all things considered. This is the very definition of average. The finish came around when Sasha snuck, like, the boss knucks onto Bayley's hand. And the referee was distracted, and Bayley clocks Nikki Cross right in the gut with those, like, I can't even call them brass knuckles, but Bayley
hits,
punch. Like, there it is. Bayley hits what looks like a mic check on Nikki, and that's what gets the win, but very definition of average. I'll give the match credit for having some creative spots in there, but again, way too predictable for my liking. But
oh, yeah. And now we are on to the match that was on everyone's mind. Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins. Eye for an eye.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. But before we get to that, the announcers were talking real quick about the United States title match that we were supposed to get.
We skipped over that segment. That's how forgettable it was. Okay.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. But we were supposed to get Apollo Crews versus MVP for the United States Championship. But Tom Phillips, this is a very unfortunate situation, honestly. But Tom Cruise basically told us that he did not pass his physical, Apollo Crews.
Tom Cruise is a WWE announcer?
Or Tom Phillips. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. See, I'm flustered.
It's okay. It's okay.
But Tom Phillips basically says Apollo Crews. I almost said Tom Cruise again. I mean, I have a wall of Blu-rays behind me. I have so many Tom Cruise movies behind me. But Apollo Crews did not pass his physical, is what Tom Phillips told us, because of an injury that Apollo Crews had sustained last month due to a full Nelson. But for those of you who have been watching Raw, Apollo Crews wrestled a match like a couple weeks after that, and he was just fine. So I feel like I don't want to jump to conclusions, but I feel like this is not good news for Apollo. It might have something to do with the COVID-19 situation. If that's the case, I wish Apollo Crews the speediest of recoveries.
100%. The only reason why I'm disagreeing there is just in our modern world of everybody knows everything about this nowadays. I feel like if he did have it, we would know by now. And I hope I'm not saying I hope I'm right just to like prove everyone wrong. I hope I'm right because I don't want Cruz to have that. Nobody wants it.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, I don't want anybody to have COVID-19. That's the thing. But wear your masks, by the way. But Apollo Crews basically is not there. MVP comes out with Bobby Lashley, and he basically says that by forfeit, he's the new United States champion. I have not looked on WWE.com yet, but, like, I don't know.
Here's my idea. If Cruz is really going to be out this long, I think they should just put the United States title on MVP. Just let him run with it for a little bit. Have him defend it against random people. R-Truth. Anyone lower mid-card. Until we can get something, I don't want MVP and Lashley to split up just yet because this is obviously leading to Lashley and Cruz for the United States Championship. If we cannot get that match, I would rather WWE take their time, write something for MVP to hold the title for a few months, and then, because eventually Lashley and MVP are going to split up. I mean, look at all of other Lashley's partnerships. They all end in...
I really don't want Lashley and MVP to split up, like, at any point in the future. Mostly because... Oh, go ahead.
I'm just going to say, I'm still mad that Lashley and Leo Rush aren't a thing anymore. I don't think they ever should have taken Rush away from Lashley. Lashley needs that mouthpiece. Yeah. And fine, take Rush away from him MVP is finally a good fit with Lashley. And I just realized during this show that I totally forgot that Lashley and MVP were a part of the Beatdown clan in TNA. So fun continuity there that they are still together after all these years. But I think MVP is a good fit for Lashley right now, and I don't think this is a partnership you want to throw away after 2 months. I think you need to have these guys stick together for a while until you can figure out something. I think WWE wants to put the title on Lashley right now, but I don't think that's worth sacrificing this partnership to get the title on him.
Right, yeah, and honestly, I would like to see MVP recruit some more people into his stable, like, say, Ricochet and Cedric Alexander, who are nowhere to be found on this show. And I love both of those guys.
They could have had MVP fight R-Truth. They could have had MVP fight Ricochet. They could have had him fight Cedric Alexander. They could have had Jeff Hardy and Sheamus in this slot. They could have done anything, but I feel like WWE panics, and they don't think, and they don't plan ahead, and they could have done stuff.
Here's the thing, though. If Apollo Crews definitely was at the arena earlier today for the live show, because I'm assuming this match would have been taped live, I don't put this on WWE at all, really. Like, I don't think they had any clue that Apollo, like, God forbid, he tested positive for COVID-19. Like, they had no clue that was going to happen. So I feel like they did what they could, and, like, they're just probably going to put this off until SummerSlam, maybe, and that's where we crown an undisputed U.S. champion, because Apollo can come back with the old belt.
Here's hoping that Crews can come back. And, I don't know, take on Lashley and MVP in a handicap match for the United States title, because I want them to stack SummerSlam, and nothing against MVP. I don't think Crews and MVP fits on that show. If they're going to do anything, I want them to do a handicap match. If Crews can come back.
Or a
Crews
triple
versus
threat.
Lashley and MVP, and then Lashley could become the undisputed United States champion, or hell, even a triple threat.
Yeah, because I cannot stand the idea of a handicap match for a singles title, because they always, aside from Miz and Morrison not having any clue that only one of them could walk out with the Universal title, it's like, why not just do a triple threat?
Good point. First thing that comes to mind is how Finn Balor just cheaply pinned Leo Rush to win the Intercontinental title when Lashley was the champion.
Yeah. But anyway, MVP, I guess, is the U.S. champion, which now leads us to...
Eye for an eye. Rollins versus Mysterio. Everyone and their mothers was very, very...
May I?
Go for it, yeah.
Okay. I fucking hate this stipulation. I'm just going to put that out there right now. So,
would you like to explain what an eye for an eye match is?
Gladly. So, I guess Eye for an Eye originally was the subtitle for an AEW match on Dynamite with Jon Moxley when he had the eye patch thing going on. And now, ironically, Seth Rollins, another member of The Shield, is in an Eye for an Eye match. But in this version, the only way to win this match is to extract one of your opponent's eyeballs literally out of his head. Like, here's the thing. So wrestling and any form of storytelling in general, it's all about, the point of it is to suspend your disbelief, right? With this kind of stipulation, there is no way that I can suspend my disbelief here.
I guess you can. The way I was looking at it was WWE is trying to get people to tune in. They hear that someone is going to rip their eye from their socket. Of course, my family, who don't even really watch wrestling with me, they heard this stipulation from the other room. They all came to the living room, and they wanted to see what was going to happen with this match. They were all wondering, can you actually do this? How are they going to do this? Is Rey Mysterio going to lose his eye? Is Seth Rollins going to lose his eye? Do you have to pull the eyeball out of the socket, show it to the referee, and boom, that's how you win the match?
It's like capture the flag now.
I think WWE was trying to get view bait. I think they were just trying to get people, hey, look, there is a match where we're going to rip out someone's eyeball. Everyone's saying that's bullshit, but we're going to tune in just to see how they're going to pull this bullshit
right off. But here's the thing, though. Like, that's a really great point. But at the same time, these are two of my all-time favorites now. Seth Rollins, I've always had a soft spot for. Ever since he cashed in Money in the Bank. I was at WrestleMania 31, and you were there too. Seth Rollins has been like the catalyst of so many memorable moments in these recent years of WWE, and I am so blessed to have Seth Rollins. Rey Mysterio has always been a household favorite. When my little brother was watching wrestling with me back when we were kids, he was always rooting for Rey Mysterio. And like he jumped up and down when Rey Mysterio won the Rumble in 06. So
Oh yeah,
I
Rey
love both of these
Mysterio
guys.
has been a part of all of our childhoods. We all remember Rey Mysterio. We all grew up with him. We all idolized him. He's been around, and these are two really good wrestlers. And I feel like if you're gonna give a shitty stipulation, at least have two good workers in there. They're gonna make this work.
That's the point I was getting at. Sorry to cut you off, but like these two, this is basically a dream match on pay-per-view. So when you put this weird ass stipulation in there, like there's no spots for near falls, no spots for that excitement. Like it's just gouging at their eyes. Like,
but with all that said, I think these two put on I'm not going to say spectacular, but considering how good of workers they are, they put on a good match. We had some fun spots in here. We had some fun weapon spots. We had some good high-flying spots. We had some good storytelling. We had some good, oh my God, is this the part where he's going to extract the eye? We had, spots with the steel steps, spots with kendo sticks, spots with steel chairs, spots where straight up they were digging into each other's eyes, and you were just sitting there wondering, how are they going to pull this off? How are they going to make it actually look like? It feels like WWE booked themselves into a corner. Like, okay, we're going to do this, but how are we going to do it?
Yeah. All things considered, I definitely agree with you. Considering the limitations that the stipulation brought on, these two did a hell of a job. And I thought there were a lot of really like creative spots in there. For example, I think Rey Mysterio hits a Hurricane Rana on the outside, and Seth like hits the point, like the edge point of that announce table, and he hits it like right near where his eyeball is. And it's like, oh shit, was that the finish? And like Tom Phillips, the commentators I thought did an excellent job in this match also. Tom Phillips wanted nothing to do with this. They were like, when they were near the announce table, he was like, oh my God, get away from us. Samoa Joe, who I love on commentary, was like, that's my pin. What are you doing with that?
Joe is great. I think my favorite spot had to have been Mysterio did a suicide dive, but turned it into a rolling powerbomb into the barricade and the plexiglass.
Oh,
beautiful. Absolute beauty. I want to say right now that Rey Mysterio is 45 years old and he's still making up wrestling moves that I have never seen before.
He is in the best shape of his life, for sure. And like he is in the process of training his son, Dominic. And like I can't wait to see what they do and what Dominic does in the future. But like,
yeah, his son Dominic, who was strangely absent from this match.
Rey Mysterio, he was absent until the end. We'll get to that. But Rey Mysterio, best shape of his life. He's doing some of the best promo work in his entire career. And we were talking about this before we started recording, but this is maybe the most interesting feud that Rey has had. Like he had an interesting feud with Brock Lesnar last year, but I feel like this is his most interesting feud since CM Punk in 2010. Which also revolves around CM Punk being a cult leader, trying to sacrifice Rey Mysterio. I don't know. Like Seth Rollins, I think. Yeah, Seth Rollins is amazing as the Monday Night Messiah, by the way. Anybody who says otherwise.
So this match was very good. Unfortunately, until the end, we got to the spot which I think it was going to be over. Mysterio, poetic justice, shoves Rollins' eye into the steel steps. I thought that was going to be the end. Rollins counters with the low blow. Rollins hits the curb stomp. He goes to do the same exact thing, and the match kind of just ends.
It just ends, and like the announcers are like, "It's out," and that's how we know. And Seth Rollins, like, more power to him. Like he was appalled even at what he did, and he starts puking all over the place.
That was the best part of the match. I'm going to say that right now. It was gross, but it was shock value.
Honestly,
and I loved how they went that far because.
Yeah.
You got to admit, if you're in Rollins' position and you say you're going to rip someone's eyeball out, but you actually do it, you're going to puke at the sight of that.
And more, oh man, that was, and I just like, actually my favorite spot of the match we completely forgot to mention. Rey Mysterio hit a curb stomp on the outside at one point, which that was absolutely
great.
loved.
Oh my God, that was great.
Rey Mysterio is, man, I love that guy.
I'm also a little baffled to why Rollins won. I felt like this was the ultimate redemption match.
Yeah.
And I feel like Mysterio should have gotten the win just for. Mysterio has always played this character his entire career. He's the underdog. He's the babyface. He gets kicked. He gets kicked and kicked and kicked, but at the very end, he gets his revenge. It's the feel-good story. He had one of the best feuds ever with Eddie Guerrero when he did it. He had one of the best feuds ever with CM Punk when he did it. I feel like this should have been the blow-off where you get that satisfaction. I just don't see the purpose of Rollins winning this match.
So that's a really great point. I actually thought Rey Mysterio was going to win going in as well, because that just seems like the perfect redemption. But I also think that this leaves open the possibility for Rey Mysterio to somehow heal up from his injuries quicker than everybody expected, and he looks like a freaking superhero doing so. And then that leads to the blow-off match, maybe at SummerSlam. I think, if limitations don't allow for this is going to really make me upset. But this feels like the type of match that that belongs in Hell in a Cell.
Oh yeah.
You know?
We will talk about Hell in a Cell when we get closer to that pay-per-view in October. But yeah, I just feel like WWE really booked themselves into a corner with this match. Going forward from here, I don't know. I don't know if this could be the end. I don't know what you do with Rollins next. If between him and Randy Orton, they are the baddest sons of bitches on Raw. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to have these badass of heels, you need a good babyface for them to work with. And that's why I don't want this to be the end. And if they're booking it as the end, what do you do with Rollins?
Right. You could also elevate someone like Aleister Black, who also miraculously was nowhere to be found on this pay-per-view.
And back to Dominic, it just felt like he was going to interfere, and he didn't.
I honestly, there was part of me that was thinking Dominic was going to turn on his dad and actually do join forces with Seth Rollins, but I don't think this was the right match to pull that angle off.
No.
I feel like they could do that somewhere down the line, because I know one of the things Rey wants to do before he retires is at least work with his son in the ring in a big-time match.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know, when that's going to happen necessarily. Dominic has looked really good when he has stepped into the ring and, the small doses he has. But this match, I feel like, granted the circumstances, I gave it 3.25 stars out of 5. This, I felt like they did a hell of a job. Given the
I gave it 3.5 for the wrestling alone. The booking definitely made it weird, and I guess WWE accomplished what they set out to do. They got eyeballs on television sets to watch this match. Yeah, I know. But
too soon.
Very solid wrestling-wise. Very, very interesting booking decisions.
I really liked the I really love the psychology of this match, especially the aftermath. I mean, you have their solemn Owen Hart voices, and the arena was dead quiet also for a solid minute or so, and then everybody just turns on Seth Rollins, and he looks like he has reached his breaking point here. It's shit, what have I done?
He realized, how far did we take this? Especially when you're puking up chunks, and I hope they cleaned up that spot real quick after that. They got to wipe down on that real quick.
Yeah. Sanitizer everywhere right now.
Moving on, we have the WWE Championship match between Drew McIntyre and Zack's favorite wrestler, Dolph Ziggler.
Oh, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We had Asuka versus Sasha first.
We do. I don't know why I am jumping ahead of myself in this review.
You're good. You're good. See, honestly, this is the thing. This is the magic behind these podcasts. This goes to my viewers. Unscripted time, so Raw Women's title match, Asuka defending against Sasha Banks. Asuka has Kairi Sane in her corner. Sasha Banks is a SmackDown wrestler fighting for the Raw Women's title.
Loophole, my friend. She is one half of the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, which means she can be on every show. But in my opinion, that does not mean you can just show up to any show for no reason. You need to be on that show defending your Women's Tag Team titles. And I think this is a lazy loophole to get these ladies on all 3 shows, which leads to overexposure, and which is why I do not like superstars being on all shows. If we're going to rant time is on, my friend.
Wild card, baby! He hates when I do that. But anyway, I thought this was a really well-worked match. These two, I think they wrestled a match on Raw the night after Asuka won the Rumble. a couple years ago. Really, really great match. This was very reminiscent of that. Really nice chain wrestling between the two. Lots of submission work.
Oh, yeah.
Bank statements, butterfly locks, which Samoa Joe called it. I just called it the really weird armbar in my notes, but later on, Samoa Joe literally called it a butterfly lock, which I think is a Timothy Thatcher move, if I'm not mistaken. I wrote down joint manipulation by Sasha.
Oh, yes. That was a nasty spot right there.
Yeah.
And just to be sure I know what I'm talking about, that's when she was bending the fingers, right?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Sasha Banks getting a little Pete done on us, I see.
And this is another spot where the announcers really made me mad. I can't remember who it was, but they were like, "Is that legal?" And I was just thinking,
rules,
like,
ladies and gentlemen.
Considering that Pete Dunne does that all the freaking time, like, I don't
NXT, what's that?
know. NXT, what's that?
Nothing exists out of Raw and SmackDown.
Oh, man. There was a really nice powerbomb by Sasha Banks on Asuka into the hockey wall, which plays into what we were talking about earlier. Frog splash by Sasha, rather, gets a near fall. Right into a bank statement. Like, didn't even give Asuka time to regroup after the false finish. Right into the bank statement, which I think was really nice heel work. Great selling from both of them in this match, I thought. I was really, really enjoying this match. Great chemistry. Asuka suplexes Sasha and literally, like, bends her in half, which looked really painful.
Oh, yeah. I think that's a running theme with this pay-per-view. I was really enjoying this match until blank.
Until the finish, which basically starts off. Bayley tries a distraction. Kairi Sane, bless her heart, I thought she was amazing at ringside. Kairi Sane pulls her off of the apron. Bayley hits a belly-to-belly, or Bayley-to-belly to her on the outside. I don't know if I just said that twice, but there was a really nice cradle counter sequence right into the Asuka lock. The ref is distracted by Bayley, and Sasha taps out, and the ref is not looking, which is right out of 2002. I really, really love that. At which point, Sasha and the rest start arguing about Sasha using one of the women's tag titles. Like, she knows she can't use it, but, like, we have
And if you notice at the bottom of your screen, I noticed right away Kairi Sane slipping Asuka the green mist pellet.
We don't want to break kayfabe here, though.
No, we don't. But I was looking at Sane, and you clearly see her slipping Asuka the pouch, and that's why I realized, we're gonna see the green mist spot. We don't see that anymore because Asuka's not a heel, and apparently you have to be a heel to do that in every single match.
I mean, Tajiri was a babyface for the longest time, and he used the green mist even. But there was a point where Bayley and Asuka are fighting each other. Bayley is fought off. Asuka and Sasha are having a stare down, and Asuka, to your point, spews a green mist, but Sasha moves out of the way. And the ref is blinded. So the ref can't see anything anymore. Like, basically he's out of it. Lots of eye pain.
Oh yeah. Definitely lots of eyes for eyes in this pay-per-view.
Yeah. But Bayley hits Asuka with the belt. The referee is basically regrouping. And this leads us to, I think, one of the shittiest finishes all year. This is straight out of WCW 1999, folks. So Bayley grabs the referee's shirt from ringside. She puts it on herself after the belt shot, and then Sasha pins Asuka, and Bayley hits the 3 count. Granted, it takes a while for the guy to ring the bell, but eventually he does, and Bayley awards Sasha the Raw Women's title.
So my first thought about this, wouldn't it be nice if we had a general manager? Wouldn't it be nice if we had a Kurt Angle, or a Paige, or a Shane McMahon, or a Triple H, hell, even a Vince McMahon that could come out and easily reverse decisions like this? Because obviously, Sasha Banks is not the Raw Women's Champion. Like Byron Saxton explained after the match, she is not a referee. She was not the sanctioned referee. She cannot just make the count and award Banks the title.
Right.
But obviously they can, because they don't have an authority figure to come stop them. I'm still very upset over 2 years ago that Triple H abolished general managers, because I think general managers play an important part in the show and can tie loose ends like this to prevent stuff like this happening. This is WWE having shitty booking again because they want to move forward with the Sasha Banks Bayley Kabuki Warriors thing, which, like I'm saying, instead of getting to the goddamn point and just having Bayley versus Sasha Banks, they gotta stretch this thing as far as humanly possible and then stretch it out some more.
They're waiting until WrestleMania, baby. That's what's happening. Because honestly, again, I feel like this is a case of trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. But, like, I am fully convinced that these two would have been heated in a feud right now, and that would have led to Sasha Banks winning the SmackDown Women's title in Boston, in her hometown. But obviously that's not happening right now. So, yeah, I think you said it all there, my friend. I gave this match, all things considered, 3.25 stars.
I think that's the best you can give it. Obviously, this is, again, we're going to have to tune into Raw tomorrow night to see what's going to happen. I think it's going to lead to Kabuki Warriors versus Bayley and Sasha Banks at SummerSlam. Winner take all. Someone's walking out of that building with all the titles, and I'm sure every single other women's wrestler is going to be crying because two women are going to be holding all the titles when they could be using this opportunity to push other women. And I don't see what the point of putting a title on Kairi Sane is going to do, because that's going to split up the Kabuki Warriors. And if you put the SmackDown Women's title on her, that's automatically going to put her on SmackDown. And I don't know what the hell WWE is thinking right now.
Yeah, it's like they totally have. I mean, they're following the brand split, I think, pretty good right now, except for the women's division. And I'm just I mean, you couldn't just do an undisputed women's champion and just have them all on both shows. You could just do that, but I don't know. But this match, I thought this was, honestly, all things considered, this might have been the best pure wrestling match on the show. I was really liking this match until, of course, that shitty-ass finish. But what did you think?
I would have to agree. After thinking about this entire show, this show did have a lot of shitty booked finishes. And I feel like the pay-per-view would be better in my eyes. As we continue on with the night, it's going to be a recurring theme. It shouldn't have been Extreme Rules. It should have been just extreme shitty booking or something like that. I don't know. I don't have a clever name to call it, but that's how it felt to me. It felt like extreme shitty booking.
It was the horror show in more ways than one.
Extremely crappy wrestling, as Jerry Lawler would say.
But anyway, that leads us to the next match.
Drew McIntyre versus Dolph Ziggler for the WWE Championship.
See, we're all flustered. We don't even remember the match order anymore. But WWE title match. Why does Dolph Ziggler keep getting random WWE title shots?
It's a funny point. During this match, I had brought up, hey, wasn't it Dolph Ziggler last year that was complaining about, it should have been me, against Kofi Kingston?
And now he's like, to Drew, because of me. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, I'm just going to go into a quick rant about Dolph Ziggler. He is a great worker. He really is. However, as awesome as I thought he was about, 6-7 years ago when he won the Money in the Bank briefcase and he had that whole thing with AJ Lee even, I thought Dolph Ziggler was pretty awesome. But the more I watched of him, the more he just rubs me the wrong way. I am all for originality, and Dolph Ziggler just can't escape the fact that he thinks that he's the next Shawn Michaels. And he's not. He hasn't reached that level. As good as he is, I'll give the devil credit where it's due. This was, I thought, a pretty good match inside the ring. What kind of stipulation did he pick, by the way?
He picked it's an Extreme Rules match for me only, and if you get disqualified or counted out, I win the WWE Championship. That is the most specific stipulation I could ever think of in my life, and I thought it was breaking the rules a little because that's 2 stipulations, and he was only allowed 1.
Yeah.
Going into this match, everyone was wondering, what's the stip? What's the stip? What's the stip? The minute they kept saying that, I was like, it's going to be something stupid. My picks were going to be, I predicted it was going to be that. It was going to be no disqualification for Ziggler only, which reminded me a lot of Carlito versus Triple H from Unforgiven 2006. Yeah. Another one I thought it was going to be is Robert Roode's going to be the special guest referee. And the other thought I had was Drew McIntyre can't use the Claymore. It was going to be something stupid like that.
Honestly, those kind of matches can be good. But the thing is, they're not allowed to, really kick into that high gear like Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins did at Money in the Bank because you have those limitations.
Uh-huh.
You know, like Randy Orton and Shawn Michaels at Survivor Series 07 is a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels
can't use a super kick.
He can't use the Sweet Chin Music. Exactly right. But Shawn Michaels is so good that he found a way to adapt, and he was using submissions on Randy Orton. You know, like you can find your way around these stipulations, but I feel like these guys
have the right wrestlers to do that. So, and I thought Drew McIntyre performed really good in this match. Considering the very silly stipulation, I thought the match was good enough on its own. McIntyre is still a fantastic worker. We were saying that McIntyre is a weapon. He doesn't really need weapons. All things considered, I think this match was the least offender of everything. I don't think this was too guilty of extremely shitty booking. I just thought, going into it, I hope you didn't get your hopes up. I hope you weren't hoping for a steel cage match or for a last man standing match or, God forbid, something good like that. Knowing that it was what's the stipulation Ziggler was going to pick, it was going to be something stupid like that. And at least it wasn't something stupid like McIntyre can't use the Claymore.
Yeah. I agree with you completely. Can you guys tell I'm a big Drew McIntyre mark? Like Drew McIntyre is the champion we all need right now. I am fully convinced of that. I was convinced of that a few years ago when I saw him at an NXT house show. He has everything to carry the brand forward. He is so incredible, and I've loved his run so far. I feel like this match I think was his weakest of his pay-per-view title defenses so far, but that's not taking anything away from it. I thought it was still pretty well worked. There were some good spots. Dolph Ziggler at one point does a diving elbow drop through a table.
Oh, that was nasty.
It looked like a really sick table bump, and I was just like, man. And Dolph Ziggler sold that really well himself even.
They sold it. They did a beautiful sequence where it was, correct me if I'm wrong, a famouser into a zigzag into he did a third move.
A Uranagi.
Uranagi, yes. That was a beautiful sequence right there. McIntyre still kicks out.
Mm-hmm.
I give him credit where it's due. I thought Ziggler wrestled with very good psychology in this match. He was definitely I know McIntyre. I used to be his tag team partner, so he knew McIntyre's moveset very well, even countering the Claymore with a sick chair shot to the opposite
That was,
leg.
Give the devil credit where it's due.
Oh, yeah. And the finish, I thought was very good storytelling, with Ziggler getting very frustrated that he couldn't put McIntyre away. Him screaming that, "You're nothing without me. You're nothing without me." McIntyre nips up and Claymore Ziggler in one fell swoop. 1, 2, 3, blink and you miss it. Drew McIntyre retains the WWE title.
I've never been happier to see a Claymore kick in my life. I was so happy to see that because, and here's the reason why. So where is it? I'm looking at my notes right now. I apologize. Dolph Ziggler, after the Uranagi, has the awkward line, "Why won't you die?"
Oh, yeah. Something I think it should be banned from pro wrestling. After Brock Lesnar screamed, "Die, Eddie, die," at No Way Out 2004.
Yeah.
Just die, Eddie.
Just a little bit, yeah. And then Dolph Ziggler starts tuning up the band. And this is exactly what I was talking about. Dolph Ziggler is not that original. I know a lot of people are marks of Dolph Ziggler, but like I said, as much as I respect his in-ring work, he just rubs me the wrong way. I don't know. But anyway.
Especially after 15 years of the same thing.
Mm-hmm. And then, he calls Drew up. Drew kips up, claymores Dolph Ziggler's head right clean off. 3 count. I gave this match 3.5 stars. 3 3/4 is the highest.
Yeah, sounds about fair. I'll give it 3.5. Again, out of all the shitty booked finishes, I think this one was the least offensive. I think the stipulation was probably the worst thing about this match, but I think Ziggler and McIntyre had a fairly, a decent match. I hate to say it, and I don't think this is. I think it was worse last year with Kofi Kingston, but I feel like McIntyre is getting booked the same way. Instead of getting booked against high main event guys, he's getting booked against mid-carders.
So Seth Rollins is a mid-carder?
He can be, if put in that position.
I mean, here's the thing, though. I really, really loved both of his matches. Kofi Kingston, as much as I love his work, it was his matches weren't as good as Drew's. Honestly,
definitely there. Like I said, that's why I think it was worse than Kofi Kingston. But has McIntyre main evented a pay-per-view since he won the WWE title?
No,
He has not.
not yet.
Again, different circumstances. That's why I think it was, even though a lot of people think that Kofi Kingston was booked very well, and I'm glad that he got that reception, because Kofi Kingston's WWE title reign definitely could have been worse. But I'm glad that it was booked in that way. And like I said, it was worse with Kingston than it is with McIntyre. Also, Kofi Kingston was the wild card champion, which I still can't stand. But yeah, let's hope that things get better soon and McIntyre is able to start main eventing some pay-per-views.
Yeah, and get some crowds in front of him. I would love that.
So,
Like, ideal situation, I would love, like, I honestly wouldn't love it if Drew lost the title, obviously, because, I mean, come on. But Drew McIntyre, like, he got his big moment at WrestleMania, right? He got his big fanfare against Brock Lesnar. Whoop-de-doo.
Mm-hmm.
He had no crowd in front of him to celebrate with.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, he, like, connected with us on a different level by thanking us, like, through the camera and, like, reaching out to us. And, like, I love that. But I want that moment of Drew's coronation in front of a big crowd at WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah.
And you
and
can
hopefully
bet
we get that pretty soon.
You can bet your ass I want to be in the audience for that. So,
oh, yeah.
Just like for him, for all he's done for the company at this time, like, I love the guy.
Definitely agree there.
Yeah, which brings us to our main event, which is actually the match I was looking forward to the most on this show, all things considered. I really wanted this thing to save the show. The Wyatt Swamp Fight. Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt. Universal title is not on the line here.
At this point, it doesn't matter anymore because this match was...
It was weird. I mean, there were a lot of things I really, really enjoyed about this match. Like, obviously, the production value I thought was really cool. I like that it kind of felt more like, you know, a horror action movie. This was
Before we get into that, to go on a quick rant, to take a page out of Brian Zane's book. He talked about this in his Elimination Chamber review from this year when he talked about Humberto Carrillo versus Andrade. He said, hamburgers are my favorite food. I love eating them. They make me feel good. They are a good comfort food. If I ate hamburgers every day for the rest of my life, that feeling would wear off. That's how I'm starting to feel about these overproduced, I don't know what to call them.
The
cinematic matches.
Yeah.
I love them. I love Ultimate Deletion. I love Final Deletion. I love Tag Team Apocalypto. I loved the Boneyard match. But and I understand why WWE is doing this, they want to give us something great to watch because we can't be there physically at the shows. But when you have these matches every single month, the
novelty.
Thank you. The novelty of these matches begin to wear off. And I noticed it starting to be felt from the fans last month with the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders nonsense. This month with the Swamp Fight, that's when it started feeling for me.
I forgot about that, honestly.
But again, Ultimate Deletion, great. When the New Day went to the Wyatt compound, loved it. House of Horrors even though not everyone liked that match. Considering it was still new to do something like this in pro wrestling, I appreciate it for what it was. After you get Ultimate Deletion and the House of Horrors and the Firefly Funhouse, once you get to the Swamp Fight, you feel like you've seen it all.
Yeah, you know what? That's a really good analogy. I'm gonna slightly disagree with you on one front. You know what? This feud between the two definitely has a lot of history. I've really enjoyed it so far. Braun Strowman has been as vicious as I've ever seen him. And Bray Wyatt, where was this Eater of Worlds back in 2017? Why did we get this entertaining Eater of Worlds? Like,
I will say, I wasn't a huge fan of Bray Wyatt. The WWE quickly, we need to bring Bray Wyatt back to Eater of Worlds Bray, and obviously that's not going to be permanent. But
no,
I feel like they need to let Bray Wyatt develop his personality as one character before just, he's Firefly Funhouse again. He's the Fiend again. Let's bring him back to Eater of Worlds. Hey, look, there's Husky Harris. Remember when he was Husky Harris? I wish WWE would let him establish himself as this one character without really you know, people may like compare him to like Mick Foley.
Yeah,
But Mick
I was just about to
Foley
say.
was very well established as all three of his characters. And it wasn't just, oh, here he is as Eater of Worlds. And then, oh, for 6 months, he's going to be Firefly Funhouse. If I'm making any sense, I want WWE to let Bray Wyatt establish himself because he's good. Maybe a little too good.
He is. Bray Wyatt is a treasure. I love the guy to death. And like I read somewhere online that this match was filmed on Friday night, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And it took them some hours to film this.
Oh,
Similar to the Boneyard match. But from what I've gathered, from what I've read, Vince McMahon had no say in the creative for this match. This was a chance for Bray Wyatt's like creative to shine through. I feel like we definitely got glimpses of that.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of really, really neat spots. Bray Wyatt's whole like typical Eater of Worlds monologue, like with words that you can just make up with that character of Bray Wyatt. One thing I didn't exactly understand is who were those guys that Braun Strowman was beating up on? Who was that guy he set on fire?
Yeah, I mean, at one point in the match when I was trying to remember it, try to like pay attention to it, I thought maybe a couple of them were supposed to represent like Brody Lee, aka Luke Harper, and Eric Rowan, just because one of them was wearing the full jumpsuit and one of them was wearing a white tank top like Harper and Rowan used to. But then I got too distracted with this random guy that I've never seen before that Braun Strowman just lit on fire for no reason.
I thought that was Dominic Dijakovic for a second, but Braun Strowman set the guy on fire at one point. We get some talking between Braun and Bray. Braun's all chained up in a chair, and Bray Wyatt has a representation of Sister Abigail or like a hallucination come in with a snake, and the snake allegedly bites Braun Strowman in the shoulder, and that's when he starts getting like the.
I really did appreciate Bray Wyatt's promo work, but I do think it went on for a little too long.
The Eater of Worlds stuff, especially the Eater of Worlds kind of got to a point where like we know what this feud's gonna be like, you know?
Yeah, exactly. To go off kind of on a tangent, I remember a lot of people in the beginning of Bray Wyatt's Eater of Worlds run, they would try to decipher what he was trying to say. They would try to like look into his, his promos, like what does this mean? A good example, when Bray Wyatt started feuding with Daniel Bryan and CM Punk, he attacked Daniel Bryan backstage. He looked at the camera and he said, "The devil made me do it." And everyone I saw was going, "Who's the devil? Who's the devil?" I'm like, no, guys, stop now. The devil was no one. He's spewing nonsense.
Sister Abigail might have been the devil. And Sister Abigail was actually represented by Alexa Bliss in this little thing, who Braun Strowman, I guess, had a crush on at one point during the Mixed Match Challenge. I really like that callback. I don't know. I guess it was just mind games on Bray Wyatt's part. But there were, like I said, lots of really, really creative spots, I think, in this match. If I were to grade it, I think I would give it like a 3.75 out of 5, honestly. Like, it was definitely fun. But my big problem with it is, how did you win this match? I didn't know how you won.
Like a lot of matches, WWE has kind of thrown out there Firefly Funhouse, Boneyard, Eye for an Eye. They kind of just, I think at this point, they think that we're just going to go along for the ride. But as much as we love these matches, they don't explain how you win Ultimate Deletion. You don't explain any of this. I feel like you need to give us some sort of context because we're not watching a movie, we're watching a wrestling match. Right. And we would like to know how this is going to end. And the way it was represented by the end was Braun Strowman got, first of all, I love how they teased how that was the end by even throwing up the copyright logo. Because most of the time for me, when I'm watching Raw or SmackDown, when I see that copyright logo, I pause the TV and I immediately delete my recording because that's the end of the show. Flashing back to like NXT TakeOver when they pulled that on us with Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. Now with this, I love how they use that teaser so much. It's like, oh, this is the end. Don't turn the TV off or you're gonna miss something pretty big. And that was just Bray Wyatt emerging, pulling Strowman into the water. The water turns red for some reason, and the Fiend emerges, and then the show just ends.
Did the Fiend devour Braun Strowman? I would like to know in the comments below, what did you guys think of that ending? If you want to talk about deciphering, I think the Fiend ate Braun Strowman. I think our Universal Champion is no more.
You know, I definitely would think that'd be creative, but AJ Styles got buried and he showed up a month later. Rey Mysterio and Aleister Black got thrown off a building and they were back the next week.
Yikes. Yeah. Yeah, that's like, I mean, oh man, can you guys tell that we are just like tuckered out from this show? But like I said, this is, all things considered, the Wyatt Swamp fight I thought was fun. The entire show just kind of made me feel like icky inside. If I were to,
definitely the worst pay-per-view of the year, and that's unfortunate because I wasn't a fan of WrestleMania. I'm glad everybody else was. I'm glad everybody appreciated WrestleMania for what it was. But we had some good stuff on that show. Braun Strowman and Drew McIntyre winning the championships. You had the Boneyard match. You had the Firefly Funhouse. Great. Money in the Bank was really good. Backlash was good, but not as good. And I'm scared we're going downward now with these pay-per-views. WWE may be, I mean, hate to give them sympathy for this, but they may be creatively exhausted because they got to come up with ideas with this every month because they can't go through with their regular plans.
yeah.
And I understand and I appreciate both WWE and AEW for continuing going so we have something to get us through these hard times. I'm going to say this right now. If it gets to the point, WWE, there's nothing wrong with taking a break. There's nothing wrong with telling all of your workers, and I'm sure they'd appreciate it, hey, go take 6 months off, refresh your batteries, let us refresh our batteries creatively, and hopefully when we all get back together, we'll all be in a better place, and we can continue from there. I know a lot of this is Vince McMahon being stubborn and not wanting to, shut down.
And part of that is, like, I don't want to, like, throw things out there, but I read somewhere that Vince McMahon does not think COVID-19 is as big of a deal as other people.
That doesn't surprise me.
Like,
that doesn't surprise me.
But I'm not like accusing anything here. And I definitely agree with you. This was the weakest pay-per-view of the year so far. We definitely dodged a bullet. But I mean, the SAP Center was kind enough to tell us, hey, listen, WWE is going to give you a pay-per-view in 2021. So it's all good.
Lovely.
Even if they postpone like WrestleMania, like in Hollywood to 38 instead of 37, like, at least we'll have that.
Yeah.
I would give this show probably a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, that's probably fair enough. And the higher rating is just being generous for the wrestling. There was just a lot of questionable booking decisions. And if I would give this like some cons, it would be the booking decisions and just the novelty of these cinematic matches is starting to wear off. To quote Paul Heyman about Brock Lesnar not wrestling on a regular basis, if Christmas was every day, it wouldn't be that special anymore. And that's how this feels. It's like having your favorite comfort food every day. It's like having Christmas every day. The novelty wears off, and it doesn't feel that comforting anymore.
It's ironic you say that because Tomas is notorious almost for basically saying, you know what? Brock Lesnar as part-time champion does not work. He should not be the champion ever, and yet he kept winning. And and I would have a conversation with Tomas after WrestleMania 34, for example, and he would be like, why did Brock Lesnar win? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, that was at the time where everybody hated Roman Reigns too. That was like, yeah.
I hate to end this review off on such a somber note, but here's hoping that this was just, how many pay-per-views have we seen that are stinkers? They're not all going to be good.
No.
Let's hoping WWE can bounce back from this and give us a fun SummerSlam. I'm looking forward to SummerSlam.
Me too. So what would you give this show then?
I would definitely give it around a 5.75, a 6 out of 10.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
definitely weakest pay-per-view of the year. Had some fun stuff, but they all can't be good.
Yeah,
you win some, lose some.
It's funny because one more note. This show reminded me a lot of the Hell in a Cell show we went to, which we mentioned earlier. A lot of really good wrestling on that show. There were some potential match of the year stuff going on. Really, really great work in the ring. The booking decisions is what bogged it down. And you know what? All I can say is I'm really happy I was not in the audience for this one.
I don't know what it is with you and seeing bad main events with Bray Wyatt in there, but whew.
House of Horrors, you have the Fiend getting screwed out of the Universal title, and then you have You have the Wyatt Swamp fight. Which, granted, honestly, the Swamp fight, I'm intrigued of where this is going. I know this is going to lead to the Fiend winning the Universal title next month, but, like, yeah, I just have bad luck with Bray Wyatt, I guess. You know, it shows I'm either seeing live or I'm planning on going to live, but in any regard. But yeah, that's it for the review. I appreciate you guys sticking around for our rants. Tomas, thank you so much for joining me as always.
Thank you for having me once again. I look forward to the No Way Out review, and I'm looking forward to the SummerSlam review.
Absolutely, yeah. So look out. So I'm guessing either this weekend or next weekend. I think it's next weekend, but uploaded will be our No Way Out 2002 review to follow up on our retro perspective. And you can bet we'll be back for SummerSlam for sure. So excited to see where this goes. Let me know what you guys thought down in the comments section below of what you thought of the horror show, Extreme Rules. Yeah, there I said it.
I didn't even have the energy to keep that joke up. That's how much this show exhausted me.
Are you happy I at least said the whole title once?
Thank you.
All right.
A horror show at Extreme Rules. It was definitely horrific.
Oh, man. Yeah, there we go. But in any regard, yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button down below if you like what you're seeing. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as hard as you possibly can on your way out. It means the world to me. Thank you so much for your support so far. With all that being said, horror show aside. Oh, man, my catchphrase is even flustering me. Back talk, commence.